What do Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, Hillary Clinton, and Paul Ryan have in common? They were all former interns on Capitol Hill, an internship that's a launching pad for many in Washington. A study of more than 6,500 congressional staffers found that over half of respondents started their careers as interns. In 2010, the federal government employed 60,000 paid interns, but by 2020, that number was down to just 4,000.
That culture of you need to pay your dues was so ingrained.
Carlos Mark Vera, a former unpaid intern himself, is the founder of Pay Our Interns, a nonprofit fighting for the implementation of paid internships nationwide. He says in the last 3 years, the percentage of house offices that paid their interns went from 10 to 90%.
You can be 20, 19 in college, working, you're still an adult, and you deserve to get paid for the hard work and labor that you do.
Treasure Arthur interned in 2013 for the late Congressman John Lewis. She said she was paid $500 every 2 weeks and had her DC housing covered, a one-bedroom apartment she shared with 3 other girls.
I think I may have felt some shame around being a recent graduate of Emory University, and having to apply for affordable housing or for food stamps. And I really shouldn't have felt that way.
Pay Our Interns report found that the average stipend of a House and Senate internship, a 5 or 7 week affair, is less than $2,000. That comes out to less than $17,000 a year. But at federal agencies, some interns are taking home nothing, like former State Department intern and rising Georgetown senior, Anya Hauko-Johnson.
It's really sad. A lot of the work I did felt so important, and that it was actually improving and affecting lives and making decisions that will have impacts on, people for years and generations and stuff. But the fact that it gave me pause to think about not even doing that because of the money, is just, I think, kind of sad, and something that I think we should rectify because we can.
Some in Washington are trying to rectify it. In March, Senators Cory Booker and Tim Scott introduced bipartisan legislation requiring State Department interns be paid minimum wage.
You could put down all this money to get to and from your internship, and for the clothes, and for the lunches you have to buy while you're working. And if you don't get paid for that, you've lost money, but put in literal 100 hours of work.
A 2020 report commissioned by Congress on Public Service recommended paying all federal government interns to expand the socioeconomic diversity of applicants and increase competitiveness with private sector internships.
And a moment ago, I signed an executive order to advance diversity, equality, and inclusion and accessibility across the entire federal workforce.
Within that executive order, a directive for the Office of Personnel Management to increase the number of paid internships. House Democrats also including $4.5 million in an appropriations bill to pay White House interns for the very first time.
And if we want to make sure that we have the best and brightest talent, we need to pay them.
Now, Vera and Pay Our Interns is turning their attention to the Department of Labor, sending a letter to Labor Secretary Martin Walsh asking for the department to pay their own interns, collect specific data about internships, and roll back Trump-era policies which made it easier for employers to get away with not paying their interns. The Department of Labor told us that as of May 7th, their interns must receive academic credit or a stipend of at least $15 an hour. However, Pay Our Interns addresses this in their letter, saying compensating an academic credit instead of pay can actually cost students up to $13,000.
It's not a free handout. People are being paid for their work.
For Hauko-Johnson and Arthur, they say they wouldn't trade their internship for the world.
Having that Hill experience on my resume is what launched my career.
They just want anyone fortunate enough to land the opportunity to have the financial security and be able to say yes.
Although I think the experience was amazing and I'm so happy I did it and it's really set me on the path I'm on, thinking about not getting paid it felt a little demoralizing, stressful, and also brought my self-value into check.